I collected all 100 colorful screws in Pokémon Legends Z-A. But was it worth it? As you wander the streets of Lumiose, you've likely noticed these purple glowing items scattered on the rooftops and on the many scaffoldings you can find across the city. These screws can be traded to an NPC in front of Racine Construction, located just a little north of the train station where you began the game. In exchange for the screws, this NPC will give you a new type of item called Canari Plushes, each providing a unique buff that lasts for the remainder of the game once you've bought it. Additionally, all 5 of these plushes can be upgraded, increasing their effects to be even better. So if you ask me, these rewards make it more than worth collecting colorful screws. You'll need 16 of them to upgrade each plush to the max level, and with there being 5 plushes, that means you'll need 80 colorful screws in total. Technically just 77 since you actually get the first red canary plush for free during the story. But there's 100 colorful screws in total, so what do you get for collecting the other 23? Well, you'll have to stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. Finding every single screw will not be easy though, especially since there's no way to keep track of which ones you've already picked up, at least in the game. Luckily, there are a few websites that can help you track them. This one that I'll link in the description being my personal favorite, as it's the easiest to use. You will need to log in if you want to actually track them, or you can just take a screenshot of the map and cross them out in a program like MS Paint, which is actually what I did with the Windows snipping tool. Now, I try to make this guide as easy as possible for you guys to follow along and collect the screws as I do by showing off the map at each screw's location. But as you'll find out, sometimes just seeing it on the map doesn't necessarily help you get the screw, as you'll often need a specific ladder or have to parkour across multiple rooftops to reach them. And most importantly, you're going to need the Rotoglide ability in order to collect all 100. This is basically a double jump in the game that allows you to cross a lot of the more difficult rooftops in Lumiose and gets unlocked from main mission 16 in the story. And for this guide, I'll be assuming you have Rotoglide, but a lot of these screws can definitely be picked up without it, so it's more than likely you've at least picked up a few screws already. But if you want to get all 100, I highly recommend double checking every single one and crossing them off as you collect them. So without further ado, let's get started on these screws. And I'm going to divide them by sector, beginning with Vert sector. From the Gare de Lumiose, which is the train station where you start the game, we're going to head up South Boulevard to this spot right across from the taxi stop, where you fought Zach in the first promotion match. And right across from it, you'll spot this tiny scaffolding with your very first screw. It's very likely you picked this one up already, as it's also right next to the construction company where you turn the screws in. Number 2 is actually going to be just up the street from the construction company, on another slightly larger scaffolding you'll spot on the right side of the street. This one's a little trickier, but you should be able to make it across just fine with a well-timed roll, or just Rotoglide if you have it. And be careful because there's a thin steel beam here. Head up the ladder and you'll have another thin steel beam. Pro tip, you can actually crouch if you want to cross these more easily and safely. Once you make it, you'll claim your second screw. The third screw we're going after is very close by, on top of this building next to Restaurant La Yaya. You could teleport on over to the restaurant if you want, but from the scaffolding, it's probably easier to just walk over there, as our goal is actually this ladder just a little bit further back from the restaurant. And once you climb up to this rooftop, you should already spot the screw to the left. You'll just have to make this short jump across, which is possible to make with just rolling. Be careful causing too much commotion up here, as you'll notice there's actually a Dratini up here too, which you would know if you'd seen my guide on how to get some rare Pokemon early on. Hint hint. But next we're going to make our way to another scaffolding located right over here. You'll be able to see it from the previous rooftop, but in order to reach it, we're going to have to go up and around this park. So just go around the building, up the stairs, and make the first left when you get to the park. Then turn right at the corner, and you'll see the scaffolding there, which itself is pretty easy to maneuver. The only really tricky part, I guess, is once you make it up this ladder, you gotta go across the roof and drop down to get your screw. Now the next one's gonna be up on this rooftop, very close by. In fact, you can even see it shining up there as you run by. But you won't be able to so easily climb up to this rooftop. There's no Sneasler in this game after all. Instead, we'll have to use this Holovator, which you may or may not have already unlocked. But if you haven't, there should at least be a side quest by just talking to this construction guy next to it. Once you have it unlocked though, just teleport on up to the top. Well, actually it's across over here. So just drop down, rotoglide, and the screw will be up on this corner. And from the rooftop with that last screw, which you can see up there, you can drop down and head over this way to pick up another screw below the bridge. I'm actually on a different save file because I picked up a lot of the screws already and it was a lot harder finding the footage than just re-recording it. So you'll actually see me switching between a couple different save files. Luckily for this one, we don't actually need rotoglide. You will need to traverse this pretty long and thin beam though, so, you know, if you're a little scared of falling, just slowly crawl over and boom, we got our next colorful screw. And there's actually going to be another one inside of this garden area. If you have Cafe Cyclone, you can just teleport on over. Otherwise, you can head up the stairs right here and around the building. Or on the other side, you'll see this opening. And if it's your first time here, you're going to have to clear out these pieces of sludge with any water type attack. On the right, you'll see this holovator. You'll want to go up. And at the top, if you turn around, you'll see the screw. But you're actually going to have to go the long way around to actually get it. Up these scaffoldings. Then up to the roof. Up this ladder. You can find a Dedenne up here if you haven't caught a Dedenne yet. And then drop down and go around to eventually claim it. And that is going to be up on this rooftop in case you wanted the exact map location. There's one more we can get from this same rooftop. If we go back around where we spotted Dedenne, there's a sort of leap of faith you can do up here. You don't really need much faith. It's not that hard of a jump. I took out the Talonflame there, which you can also catch if you don't have yet, but then turn around and before jumping off the roof, it's actually best to rotoglide down to this one. In fact, I don't even know if you can make it without rotoglide, but that is going to be right here on the map. Now that we got all the screws in this general area, we're going to be teleporting on over to Hotel Z for the next 3 screws found around it. From the entrance to the hotel, we are immediately going to turn around and head through the tunnel. And after the second archway, turn left. Then make another left through the archway, slightly right until you reach this cross section and turn left to head through yet another archway, and finally turn left and you'll see the scaffolding on the right. Left, right, my goodness. But it doesn't end there, because in order to reach it, we actually have to go through one more archway, and immediately after it, you'll see this ladder on the right. Go ahead and climb up, and from the top of this roof, you'll be able to drop down and reach the colorful screw. And now we're going to head to this park nearby. So just drop a pin on the green square and try to locate it in the overworld. You can see it's fairly close by. The little green star will be the pin that you dropped. So just head through this archway and you'll spot the scaffolding. Another one you probably ran into very early in the game, and you can fully explore it without rotoglide, so it's possible you already got this screw. As usual, collect all the items too. Now from the top of this scaffolding, we're gonna head across to this rooftop. Just gonna hop down and go over this way. You'll actually see some sludge if it's your first time coming over here, which you can easily clear away with any water type moves. And turning the corner, you'll see this ladder, which we're gonna climb up. Once at the top, just turn left and you'll actually see the screw over on the next rooftop that you'll have to rotoglide across to get to. Then just keep heading straight and jump up until you reach it. From here, we can rotoglide our way over to another scaffolding nearby, right over the text that says Vert Sector 5. From the roof we were just on, you can rotoglide across to it. There's also a spider web you can optionally break, or if you have rotoglide, just fly across. But I find breaking these spider cocoon things very satisfying. Don't think you'll need rotoglide to reach the screw itself, as you can just walk over to the scaffolding and roll over the gaps to reach it, but you will need rotoglide to get some of the other items around here. And we're going right back up to the rooftops to cross over into this park over the Vert Sector 4 text. You can only reach this park from the roofs, so we're actually going to use this ladder right next to the scaffolding from the previous screw. From the top of this ladder, turn left and go across the roof. And we're actually going to have to cross this gap with rotoglide, which can be a little tricky. And I actually failed this jump on my first try by rolling. You can already see a couple of screws down here. But the first one we're going to collect is actually on top of the roof itself. If we turn to the right, I guess this Talonflame crapped it out. I went ahead and fought it, and now we can claim it. Now let's actually hop down into this weird obstacle course down here. There are quite a lot of items to pick up, and I highly recommend for any of these scaffoldings you pick up all the items while you're here. But mainly we want the corkscrew right in the middle of this area, so just carefully glide on over to grab it. There's actually a holovator that you can use here to easily get back up and basically retry from the top if you mess up, because there are 2 screws in total to get here. 3 if you count the one up on the roof itself, as well as the TM for body slam, which if you didn't know, TMs glow yellow and you can see it right across this gap, so just roll and rotoglide to grab that. Now as for the second screw, you can see it right down there. It's basically just going to take some timing of the rotoglide. As you're falling down, you can press A whenever you want as long as you're falling. Just time it and get in there to grab your screw. Now still from the top of this roof, we can find another screw across the way here. You can see it glowing up on that rooftop. And as much as I wish you could infinite rotoglide, this gap is a little too crazy to make. In fact, there's an invisible wall because of the canal down below. But luckily we can just go around and climb up the stairs to this park, where at the very end you'll run into this ladder. Now if you've tried to get yourself a Larvitar early in ZA, you've probably been up here before and maybe even claimed this screw. If you turn left after climbing the ladder, you'll instead run into a gap. It's actually possible to make this jump without rotoglide. Obviously with rotoglide it's a lot easier, but no matter how you get over the gap, on the other side you'll run into a Larvitar. This time I happened to get an Alpha Larvitar, which is insane. Eventually I got it though, and now with no pesky Pokemon in the way, we can go ahead and claim our screw. Another pretty easy one to grab is right next to Novo Cafe, which you visit during the main story, so you should definitely have it as a fast travel spot. You may or may not have this screw already. Regardless, go ahead and mark it down. And right around the corner from here, there is another one, I believe in this alley. So we can head to the left or right, I don't know. But literally right around the corner, you'll see this scaffolding all the way up the ladder. And then we're going to carefully make our way across this beam. Again, if you struggle with these, just crouch to cross it slowly. Drop down, we got one more beam and the screw to collect. There's another one around another corner. So we're going to drop down from here and it'll be just down the street past this unsuspecting Weepin' Bell. And when you round the corner, you'll see the next scaffolding. But you are going to need rotoglide to reach the top of this one. You'll see it lets you get pretty far up, but eventually there's absolutely no way to make that gap there. So with rotoglide, we can hop across and you'll see your screw right here in the corner. From the top of this scaffolding, you'll be able to reach this rooftop, and the next colorful screw can actually only be reached from this roof. So just drop down into this little park and you'll find your screw tucked away in the corner. And for the final screw of Vert Sector, we're going to teleport back to Hotel Z. Turn around from the entrance and once again turn left down the alley, but this time we're going to go up the ladder at the end of the street. At the top, you'll see these boxes, and though it looks a little jank, you can definitely make it up them. And then you'll spot this spider web, which you can actually break by using a ranged attack or a Pokemon that can fly to hit the little sack. Once you're up here though, just head to the left, cross this staircase, and we're actually going to jump across this pretty big looking gap right here, but with rotoglide, we should be able to make it. In fact, you can get really close up to the edge here, roll, and then use your glide. You should make it easy peasy. Once you're up here though, turn around because you're going to have to cross another gap. This one might be easier to just fall and immediately spam the A button. There's actually a Riolu up here. If you don't have a Riolu yet, can sometimes even be an alpha, but our goal is this ladder, which we're going to climb up, and you'll see the colorful screw up at the top. And that is finally the last screw of Vert Sector. Well, except one, that'll actually be the last screw of the whole video. Moving on to the Bleu Sector. We're going to teleport on over to the Pokemon Research Lab. And from Professor Sycamore's old home, we're going to turn the camera to the right and head over to the scaffolding you'll see in the distance. Fun fact, this was actually the first colorful screw I ever saw before Legends Z-A even came out. In some of the demo footage, I managed to spot it and thought it was a Mega Stone. Now we know, It's a slightly less epic item than that, but still just as rewarding. There's actually another screw super close by on the rooftop right above us. You can even spot it shining up there from the scaffolding, but we won't be able to reach it until a bit later. For now, we're actually going to go to this scaffolding you can see just around the corner and down the street on the left. In fact, there's actually 2 screws up here. You can already see them both glowing. Really, the only tricky part here will be balancing across the steel beam. Once you make it up, you can just drop on down to get another one. 2-for-1 special. Now that's what I call a bargain. There's another much larger scaffolding we can find just around another corner here, or near where I just placed my pin. As we head off towards it, you'll notice this big gray box here. I placed the pin slightly wrong, but this is in fact the scaffolding. We just gotta go round the corner and you'll spot your screw. But that's not all I spotted. Yup, I found a freaking shiny. I don't know how I haven't found a single legit shiny in my playthrough file. And by legit, I mean one that I didn't do the weird stairs method. Yet here, in this throwaway file I got just to collect these screws, I found a shiny Pat Rat. I guess I can trade it over to my main file. Anyway, back to the screw. The scaffolding itself won't be too difficult to navigate or anything unless you want every single item. Just hop on over, and the screw's actually about halfway up. But if you climb the rest of the scaffolding, there's actually an Eevee waiting up here. Thankfully a lot easier to catch than Larvitar or Dratini, as it won't run away from you, so you can just walk around and toss your Pokeball. I still failed to catch it though. So whether you decide to catch it or not, you'll actually see the next screw is just over on this rooftop. However, there seems to be an invisible wall here that didn't let me roto-glide over. Alright, well, regardless, you can hop on over here and you'll see this ladder. You don't actually need to do the parkour, you can just go the long way around. You can see that archway, and I believe it's right next to the Bleu Pokemon Center. So you can teleport there, go through the archway, head to the back of this park, climb this ladder, and right up the staircases to the left, you will get this screw. And from here, we can actually reach that super tricky one in this corner that we couldn't get earlier. We're going to turn our camera to the right, and you will need Rotoglide to clear this gap here. Just roll on up, then glide. There's also this Holovator, which I guess if you're like in the post game will probably be activated for you. Regardless of how you get up here, we're going to head across the roof and up this ladder. Then pretty much just straight across the next couple of roofs. If you ever need to pause the video because I'm going too fast, you can always do that. Eventually you'll reach these Mega Crystals that you have to shatter with any attack. And I recommend breaking any Mega Crystals you run across as you're getting these screws, since you're going to need those to get all the Mega Stones eventually. But yeah, in this corner, you can finally grab that screw. From this corner we can grab another screw that's quite a long ways away on this rooftop. So we're basically going to have to maneuver our way all around Aimless Park. At least if you're far enough in the game where you have this wild zone. If it's raining, you might even spot a Goomy up on this rooftop. I don't know if these ice bridges only spawn once the ice biome is here, but even if they're not, as long as you have Rotoglide, you should be able to easily make it across those gaps and go all the way around until you finally make it to this ladder. There were a ton of Mega Crystals around here, so make sure to clear them all out because you're going to need those Mega Shards, and then cross the bridge to claim your screw. Since I just brought it up, I should mention that Mega Shards actually cap at 999, so if you've been collecting a lot of Mega Crystals, go visit Quasartico, where you can of course trade your Mega Shards for Mega Stones. And I believe you're going to need to collect every Mega Stone to complete the final research tasks, which means you're going to need a lot of Mega Shards. To make the grind a little easier, I also recommend stopping by the construction company if you've already picked up a good amount of screws. You can buy the pink plush, which of course increases the amount of Mega Shards that breaking Mega Crystals drops. Just make sure to periodically check you're not capped out at 999. For the next couple of screws, we can actually start from the scaffolding we were at earlier, or you can teleport over to the Novo Cafe, or even the Bleu Pokemon Center. Basically, we're going to make our way to this little rectangle of water over here. This kiddie pool for Magikarps will actually lead us down into the sewers if we head through this tunnel and then turn right. you'll see an ice block or icy, spiky thingy. I always like to hit these with fire moves, but I think actually any sort of move will break those. And we'll see a bunch of Binacle hanging out, but we're gonna go up this ladder on the left and then make our way up the stairs and all the way to the end where you'll see another ladder. Climbing all the way to the top of this one, we're going to turn right and past this Pidgeot, don't notice me. You'll already see the screw up on this, I never know what those are called. I guess it's like the stairs, like for the people that live in the apartment. Anyway, go up the ladder and then drop down to claim it. And we're actually going to be at this spot on the map, which has a scaffolding right next to it with 2 more screws. You don't actually need to drop down from the roof to get these. You can definitely grab them from the ground floor, but this makes it a lot easier. So go ahead and climb up to get number 1, and you can actually roll over to drop down and get the second one. After a little bit more scaffolding maneuvers, we're gonna go up the final ladder. Actually, there's another ladder. And finally, we'll get 3 screws back to back to back. Thank you for making it easy, Bleu Plaza. Another easy screw we can claim in Bleu is right around the corner from the Vernal Pokemon Center. And from here, we're gonna head right and just down the street to this little park or plaza. The scaffolding will be right in front of you, pretty clearly visible. And besides, for the final thin beam, pretty easy to navigate across and grab your screw. Again, that one's right here. And our next one will actually be right around the corner here. So if we turn our camera, you can actually already see it. It's not even as far away as I put down the pin. We can begin climbing it from here. I believe you will need Rotoglide to get the screw because this gap looks a little too crazy. But again, this guide is assuming you have it. So next we're going to travel over to Cafe Soleil. But even if you don't have it as a fast travel spot, it's very easy to just walk up the street and locate. Thankfully, I do have it. So we're just going to teleport to the cafe and turn around to see a pretty massive scaffolding. In fact, it starts all the way to the left here. And this looks like maybe you might be able to make it with a regular jump if you angle it or push your limits. But Rotoglide definitely makes it a lot easier. So climb up the ladder and there's your screw. Now just up the street from Cafe Soleil, you can actually find another one right by the Shutterbug Cafe if you have that fast travel spot. And if you don't, literally just walk up the street. Now first it might not look like there's a colorful screw here at all, but eventually you'll realize it's kinda tucked away, hidden in this little crevice. So just drop down, go in and claim it. Next we're gonna head to this little triangle shaped green spot. Maybe this will give you guys an idea of just how long it takes to get all these, because the time of day has changed like 3 times already and we're not even halfway done. I do believe you can get all of these items without the Rotoglide, but as usual, once you have it unlocked, it's just a lot easier. Round the corner here, just climb the ladder and boom, just like that, we got 2 colorful screws. But there's one more we can grab if we head across the roofs all the way to this corner. Just safely run across the glass, up the ladder. There's actually a lot of items to collect on the rooftops around this shopping mall. So I highly recommend exploring a little bit before moving on to the next screw. But the colorful screw will be right behind this little, again, I don't know what that is, but yeah, just right in this corner. And it looks like the next nearest screw is up on this roof. Again, it is quite a ways away, but with Rotoglide, you should be able to go across almost every gap in this area. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of items to collect around here and even some rare Pokemon to find, as well as a ton of Mega Crystals. So I highly recommend exploring this full roof area if you haven't already. Eventually you'll find yourself around here, where there's a ladder leading up to a quite tall rooftop. This might actually be one of the tallest buildings in Lumiose, except for that one right next door. And obviously besides Prism Tower in Quasartico. But from this roof, we're going to drop down and you'll see the colorful corkscrew. Or just screw. Am I the only one that always screws up the name? Anyway, that's all the screws in Bleu. So we're going to be moving on to the Magenta sector next. From the Magenta Plaza Pokemon Center, we can walk over to another miniature scaffolding right in front of this building. Just drop a pin so you can easily spot it in the overworld and follow the green marker through the streets until you locate it. And from here, we're going to head around Prism Tower to this spot, turn left at Autumnal Avenue, and eventually make another left to find a scaffolding tucked between this alley. Another fairly easy one to maneuver around despite its massive size. Guess it goes to show, size doesn't mean everything after all. Now we're going to teleport to the Magenta Pokemon Center in the top left corner of Lumiose to locate another scaffolding right behind the Pokemon Center. I guess I should say left behind it, cause it's to the left of the building. Again, very easy to reach the screw here, though it'll be even faster if you drop down to the screw first, then the item, otherwise you'll have to climb back up the ladder. Next, we're gonna head to this holovator that's not too far off from the scaffolding we just explored. And the next screw is on the roof right across the gap. In fact, we can actually see it glowing over there. Looks kind of far, but I feel like we should be able to make it. Oh my gosh, we just barely did. So I'm sure if we rolled off before roto gliding, we would have cleared that easily. So just do that and pick it up. And the next one's actually inside of Wild Zone 9, somewhere around this corner. Depending on how far you are in the game, Wild Zone 9 may not have popped up. You may or may not also have these rocks here, which can of course be easily cleared using any fighting type move. You just keep heading all the way to the back, you'll find this ladder, and you may be able to spot the screw right behind you. But we gotta climb all the way to the top in order to claim it. Just roll off, land right here, and then go around to grab it. This wild zone is pretty complicated, but that's the easiest way to get the one and only screw in here. And the next one's actually right outside of it. So we're gonna head straight to this exit, and you should already spot the scaffolding right outside. I think you might need Rotoglide to claim that one that we just climbed past. The top one you'll be able to easily get by just making your way up to the top. But yeah, that other one is a little bit tricky. Maybe you can roll in there if you use a crazy angle. Otherwise, just use your Rotoglide to get in the hole and claim 2 screws. From here, we can find another one just up the avenue. Just gotta get through this alley if you're coming from the previous scaffolding. But back on the main street, you'll easily spot it and just as easily be able to climb it. Next, we're gonna head to this location where another scaffolding can be found. And not only will this one have 2 more screws to claim, but from the top of it, you can get to one of the more difficult screws in the whole game. And you can already see 1 screw right there and another one all the way at the top. I recommend going for the one at the top first because you don't have to climb the scaffolding 3 times. So we're gonna head up for the top one first and then drop down onto the second. So all the way at the top, we have the first one. And like I said, it'll be easier if we just drop down from here. Oh my goodness. I messed it up. No. Looks like we're gonna have to climb it 3 times anyway. I mean, if you have Rotoglide, you can easily just skip over here. And from here, skip again by just dropping down and... Wait, actually, this is not even the right spot. Drop down and Rotoglide. Okay, there we go. But yeah, now we're gonna climb back up to the very top because from up here, we can reach the other roof that I mentioned earlier. I always recommend dropping a pin because then you can just track where the green pin is and just follow it to get to the colorful screw. So up this ladder we go, and then up another ladder in the back. Just across this rooftop, you will see it there. And actually, I guess you need Rotoglide to get this one. Drop down, spam A button to essentially double jump, and there you go. There's one more fairly close by inside of this little pizza slice. You should be able to easily reach it from the previous rooftop. Then just Rotoglide over the gap and jump on down into the opening to find the screw tucked in the corner. Now the next few screws are pretty far away actually, all in this general area near Magenta Sector 9. We're going to start off with one right here in the middle of North Boulevard. Probably easiest to just teleport back to the Magenta Pokemon Center, but whatever way you decide to get here, you'll see that this scaffolding is actually in the very middle of the street. Kind of weird. Usually they're like off to the side, but this one straight up just blocks the whole avenue. Now as for the screw, one little trick we can use is what I like to call the backwards Rotoglide, which is you fall off and you actually get a little bit of extra height as you make your way back. To get the other screw, we're going to drop down from where we just got the previous one and go across a couple steel beams that progressively get thinner and thinner. So again, if you struggle with these, you can crouch down, but there we go. And there's a couple more right over here. I believe this scaffolding becomes part of Wild Zone 18 later in the game, so it may look a little different for you, but regardless, making your way to the very top should be fairly straightforward. We can easily reach the next one from here by going up this ladder. We'll now actually be on one of the tallest rooftops in Lumiose, besides Quasartico, but the corkscrew, or colorful screw, is going to be right down here. And that's it for Magenta. So we're going to be moving on to the Rouge sector, starting with a screw on top of this shopping center that's most easily reached by teleporting to Quasartico. From there, you'll be able to see the shopping center building directly behind you. So just head down the street and at the end, turn right and head down that street until you eventually see a ladder. And we are of course going to be climbing this ladder. Squeeze through the corner here past the impenetrable bushes, and the screw should already be visible right in the middle of this glass roof area. Seems a little dangerous walking across this, I'm not gonna lie. So this must be some extra reinforced glass, or Lumiose just has some crazy insurance. Next we'll teleport to the Centrico Pokemon Center, and nearby we'll find a couple screws inside this alleyway behind the Bank of Lumiose. You'll see a pretty crazy scaffolding with this colorful screw up on top of this. I still don't get why our character can't just climb up it. I mean, they can easily climb up these. What's preventing us from climbing up that sack of... well, I don't know what that is actually, but I'm gonna make my way to the very tippy top because there's another screw up there and then we can just drop down from it. So yeah, right up this ladder, we got this one. And if we work our way around the roof, we can get back up here and roll on down to get number 2. And from here, we can walk over to this Holovator, which is actually gonna help us reach a bunch of different screws. Once you make it up top, turn to the right, and after heading across this roof, there will actually be a ladder, a little bit hidden back here. You can climb up that one. You should already see one of the screws right across this metal beam, but it's definitely not the last one we can claim. As you can see, this spiderweb bridge right here, if you look down from here, you can actually spot a colorful screw. Okay, pause. I actually dropped down the wrong spot. Instead, look to the right and you'll spot this colorful screw, which I believe you can only reach by dropping up from this roof. And then you can easily roto-glide on over to the other one, which, like I just said, I accidentally dropped down to the first time, but then you won't be able to reach the other screw and have to climb all the way back around to the Holovator. So just get the other one first and it'll be a lot easier. But there's still one more we can reach using the very same Holovator. From the top, we're gonna head left and back to the spiderweb bridge. Except this time we're actually gonna go across it, and then keep heading straight until we see this steel beam with a couple Pidgeys chilling on it. If you go to the right, you can actually find Hawlucha over there if you haven't caught one yet. But for the colorful screw, we're gonna keep heading straight and over to this grassy bridge, where you'll see your colorful screw waiting right in front of Quasartico. To recap, we are on top of Restaurant Legea, and we can easily reach another screw from the top of here on the building behind the Pokeball Boutique. And I believe we should be able to just dash across this gap with the Roto-Glide. Couldn't quite make it over the fence, but it's all good. We can go around and you'll see it's up on top of this little balcony thingy. I was about to say, how would we get up there? But thankfully there's a ladder and a Pidgeotto being annoying, but we got our next screw. Dude, leave me alone. What the heck? Now let's head to the very edge of North Boulevard for 2 easy screws. On the main street, there will be a scaffolding towards the left side. Just be careful with the jumps, not to overshoot it. And it looks like, yep, we can reach that first one. And, okay, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know if we can make that without the Roto-Glide, so we're just gonna use it since we have it. Get an item and a screw. The next one's actually gonna be right on top of Looker Bureau, and you'll never guess how we can reach it. That's right, this Holovator is the key to almost every screw in Rouge. So just turn right this time and across the gap here. You'll be able to rotoglide over to the Looker Bureau's roof and get another one. Now there's actually going to be another holovator located right here. From Looker Bureau, we're going to turn around and head down the alley and turn left at the main street. And there's the holovator. From the top of this holovator, we're going to go ahead and turn right up this rooftop. Got another NPC handing out freebies, but the screw we're looking for is across the next rooftop. So we're going to just roll and rotoglide on over. You can actually find all three of the elemental monkeys hanging out up here, including an alpha, which is kind of crazy. Why not catch it too? And the next one's actually right here as well. If you look down, you'll actually see the scaffolding right below you. So you can drop down. In fact, you might be able to just drop on top of the screw. The screw is totally possible to get even without rotoglide if you angle your roll correctly. You might already notice some more scaffolding right behind us. So we're gonna head down the alley and jump up a couple things. How come we can go up this one? Just keep on heading forward and you got yourself yet another screw. So to recap, we got one up on this rooftop and then another one right below it. And now the third one right here. And we're gonna get ourselves a fourth by heading to a ladder right over here. You can see the green pin right behind us. So we're gonna make our way around and climb up the ladder. Once at the top, you'll see the screw right over here. You can actually rotoglide over to it, or if you want to do a little bit of exploring, you can go all the way around this rooftop. There's a couple of items to pick up. We got a rare candy back here, so that already makes doing the long trek around worth it. We got a berry. Okay, that's not that worth it. Maybe it was just that rare candy, but either way, at the very end of this rooftop, you'll find the colorful screw. And again, if you want to save some time, don't care about that rare candy, just hop on over here. For the next screw, it's easier to teleport over to the northernmost Pokemon Center of Lumiose. You might recognize this as one of the scaffoldings where we once took on Froakie, or I guess in this save file, I still haven't. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, be sure to check out my guide for how to get the Kalos starters early in Legends Z-A, but you won't actually be able to pick up any of the items or screws during that Froakie race, so you'll have to reclimb the scaffolding after, or as I'm doing right now, before racing Froakie. There's actually a pretty tricky jump right here. You have to go across this pretty thin beam and jump, but it'll literally be at the same spot as Froakie waits. That is, if you don't fall. So if you've already done the time trial, you should be an expert at climbing this scaffolding and easily reach the next screw. But there's actually a second screw on this scaffolding that you can rotoglide or just roll over from the top of this tower to claim. Next, we're going to head into this plaza across from Wild Zone 4, where you might remember we once fought an Alpha Bunnelby, at least if you did that side quest. You'll actually need rotoglide to reach all the screws, so it's very likely you didn't get these, with 3 of them in total being found around the scaffolding. You can see the first 2 here, we just need a rotoglide over, drop down, rotoglide again to get 2 back to back. Third one's a little trickier as we're going to have to make our way to the right instead, and you'll see it in the back, kind of far away, so just go up the ladder here, rotoglide across the gap. As always, I recommend picking up all the other items. Once you reach the top of this ladder, drop down to get this item. You don't have to, but big pearls can be sold for quite a bit of money. For the final one, we're just going to roll, rotoglide, and bam! That is 3 colorful screws, all in this tiny little, I don't know what to call it, but from this roof, we're going to try to make our way over to the top of this shopping center. So back at the top of the previous scaffolding, we can get... Are you kidding me, dog? Like, why? There are quite a lot of items to get around this rooftop, so I recommend exploring a bit, but once you're done, head over to this corner and you can rotoglide on down towards this garden with an Eevee. Do what you want with that little guy. Then head to the ladder in the back. Then you'll see another ladder that's actually blocked by mega crystals, which I said earlier you should be smashing anyway, so go Tyrone! I'm pretty sure I'm capped out on mega shards. But all the way at the tippy top, we're gonna find our next screw. Next, we're gonna use this holovator near the Sushi High Roller restaurant. Once at the top, if you turn right, you'll see a colorful screw right behind you on top of the academy. And to reach it, we're gonna have to cross this spiderweb bridge. Not gonna lie, I don't know if we can make that jump, but I feel like if we believe, we can do it. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's probably an easier way to get up here, but that way works. So you can already see the next one is in the middle of this archway. Okay, I don't know if this was intended, but it works. So again, I'm gonna show you guys. This is truly hardcore parkour. And with our Spider-Man maneuvers, we can make our way to this roof and get another screw. I still don't think this is like the intended way to get up here, but it works. We're gonna go all the way around and get ourselves a TM for Dragon Claw. Nice. That is right here. This is not a TM guide, but might as well. Now from here, you might notice a quite large scaffolding in front of us. You definitely don't have to reach the screw from the top of the academy though. If you have the teleport spot for Restaurant Luau, and literally right around the corner is where you'll find this scaffolding. You can see that's the rooftop that we were at earlier. But as for the scaffolding itself, it's a little bit tricky just because you have to drop down into this hole in order to find the ladder that you need to actually reach the top. Then you just hop on over, climb another ladder, and you can see the screw all the way over here. Drop down in this corner to get your screw. And the final screw of Rouge is on a scaffolding in Hibernal Avenue. You can make your way up the avenue from the nearby Pokemon Center, and you'll see the scaffolding in the corner. Pretty easy one to climb too. So glide on over and get yourself another screw. Moving on to the final section, the Jaune sector, which apparently means yellow in French. And speaking of yellow, there's a holovator we can use right next to the Hibernal Pokemon Center that'll teleport us up to this roof, where you can already see this colorful screw is a lot easier to get as we don't actually have to navigate the scaffolding. We're actually going to head right back up that same holovator to grab a screw located on this building, but I believe we should be able to reach it from up here. Just head to the left and climb up this roof and just go straight until you see the spider web. It's pretty satisfying animation when it expands. Oh my gosh, there's actually a lot over here that I haven't done. Okay, hold up. I see a TM up here, not a screw. We've got the TM for Endure. So maybe the screw is actually... Yep, it's in this little hole. And what is going on here? Huh? Oh my gosh, another one. Just teleported away. And I don't need another Abra. We got our screw. Next up is another screw you very likely already have, as it is on the scaffolding you have to climb during the Rogue Mega Camerupt main mission. You'll find it about halfway up the scaffolding, then turn around and continue up to the roof where we fought Mega Camerupt, because there's another screw back here that's a lot more likely you may have missed. As you can see, I definitely did, so just go around the back and pick it up. But after grabbing those two, there's another screw just across on this roof. So we're gonna roto glide our way on over. Oh my god, I pressed the A button too late. That's embarrassing. This one you 100% need roto glide. There's yet another Alpha Dratini up there. My goodness, there's way too many of those. At this point, I have no idea how many poor Alpha Dratinis I've knocked out in this video. Make your way around the roof, and you got another colorful screw. There's a couple right by the Jaune Pokemon Center, so we're gonna teleport on over there next. This is actually where we did the Froakie side quest, so it's very possible you have one or two of these already. You won't be able to pick them up during the Froakie side quest though, because the frog's magical powers make all the items disappear. But after completing his little trial, if you come back up here, you should be a master at maneuvering this scaffolding since you just did it for the time trial. And literally in the same spot where you found Froakie, you can get yourself a screw. And that was the scaffolding closer to the Pokemon Center. But there's another one if you reclimb the one where the first Froakie race took place. Not just literally where the Froakie was during the race, but also if we continue climbing up to the roof behind it. Just get on up here and go straight ahead. You'll already spot another colorful screw up there. We have to go all the way down and around to reach it. There's actually a couple of thorns here, which if you don't know, you have to burn down with a fire type attack. Once you get rid of those though, go across the steel beam, and you'll be able to pick up the screw right in this corner. But there's actually a few more screws that we can reach from up here, It's another kind of tricky jump, but if you roll and then glide, should be able to make it across. And then we just need to go all the way over here. Don't need to actually roto-glide right there, but I panicked a little bit. I'm going to turn right and straight across this whole rooftop. Now there's a few screws that we can get inside this park, which can only be reached from the rooftop. You can see it right over here. And there's also a pretty nice TM that you can get. Do note there's also a ladder in here, so if you fall all the way to the bottom, you don't need to climb. Oh my goodness. This Ghastly's relentless. But yeah, you can climb this ladder to get back up to the top because this TM right here is also very worth it. As you will see, it is Hyper Beam, one of the strongest moves in the whole Pokemon. There's actually another one we can reach from the Jaune Pokemon Center. Hidden behind it in this little alley, you'll find a ladder. And it's kind of crazy that this is the ladder we need to reach that screw. All the way over there, you can see the green marker. But I don't see any other way. So I'm just going to speed up this segment and you guys pause if you need to. We're going to jump and balance our way across like a million rooftops until eventually you find the screw in this corner. Right around the corner from Wild Zone 8, there's a scaffolding we can climb to claim another couple of screws. You can already see it just down the street. And it is fairly easy to go across this one. You don't even need roto-glide, just drop on down onto the steel beam and fall off. Turns out rolling was a little bit easier. But anyway, from here we can actually reach a few more. If we turn around, there's a ladder right here. As you can see, it is turning night in my game though, so there's a bit of an awkward cut. But from the top of that ladder, you'll want to turn right and cross this steel beam. Then jump down and climb this ladder and head straight until you see the screw on top of the building in front of you. I fully knew you couldn't make this without roto-glide, but for some reason still felt like attempting it. Switching over to the other, you can see it's actually fairly easy to make that jump and claim your next screw. Now there's actually a Holovator at this location that may be activated in your game, but wasn't activated yet for me. However, I found that we can actually reach it using that same ladder from the previous screw. Up top, we're going to turn right around this corner and across the steel beam, where to the right, you'll see where that Holovator is. And I know it might look kind of far, but if you wait till the last second to roll and then roto-glide, you can see we make it literally to where the Holovator was. But anyway, from here, we're going to head straight across the roof and you'll see this ladder. And up top, head straight across, you will see the colorful screw at the very end of this roof. So I guess it was actually right here. There's actually another one right inside of this garden next door. So from here, we can easily just roto-glide on over. And you can only reach this garden from the inside or like from the rooftop. There's no other way to get in here from the outside. So yeah, definitely recommend getting these two in this order. Save yourself a lot of trouble getting back up or finding another way up to this rooftop. Now there's a few screws located around this building. I believe it's actually the Lumiose City Hall. But the first one is going to be around this corner here, where you can find another scaffolding. Oh, it's actually before where I put the pin. So like right here. Anyway, go ahead and climb up this one. There is a colorful screw actually on it, but from here we can also reach a few more. So first, we're going to grab this and we can actually head on up here. Turn around and cross this beam. You'll see a bunch more scaffoldings. The tricky thing about this one is you can't actually reach it from the ground. You have to go up from this like second floor, I guess. But if you're following my guide, you should be up here already. So just run across, roll, and you can get screw number 2. You'll actually see number 3 right there on top of the City Hall. But reaching it is a little tricky. I found that the best spot is back up this way. If you go across a couple of beams, you'll make it to this corner. And from here, you can easily roto-glide on up to the top of the building to claim your screw. There's also an item, I think, around the back. Don't know if it's necessarily worth it, but while you're up here, you might as well grab it. Now make your way back up to this scaffolding. We just picked up the previous screw right here. Because there's another one, I believe, up on this roof. Wait, there's 2 of them. Nice. 2 for the price of 1. So from up here, if you've got Rotoglide, just roll off and glide across to this rooftop. Claim number 1. And you can see number 2 over there in the corner. But if you happen to go down here first, you can still reach the other screw by using this umbrella right here. It's pretty funny. You just get on the top of this one and then Rotoglide again to get on top of here. And the final screw we need is actually back at Racine Construction. This is one of those where it's like right under your nose. You never knew. Perhaps because it only appears after you've defeated Canari. You will see the screw all the way in the back of the office. And hey, with that you now own every single one. Here's some fresh exciting info for a plush head like yourself. If you bring me every last colorful screw still out there, I'll reward you with a giant Canari plush. Does it do something though? Jumpin' Jolteon! Oh my god, it's like the Vaulting Veluza. You went and brought me every last colorful screw. That's deserving of a giant plush for sure. I'll go ahead and have it delivered to your room. So it's in our room in Hotel Z. You've already got all the Canari plush, so I don't think there's anything else I can help you with. To Hotel Z we go then. I gotta find out what this plush does, bro. Let's go up to the second floor. And into our room. Oh. You know, maybe if I was more of a Canari fan, this would be alright. But, it doesn't do anything, does it? Is there like a secret effect that this plush does? I cannot believe that that's what you get for collecting all 100 sprues. Like, I mean, it's funny. Getting the plushes is absolutely worth it because they all give you a variety of effects like increasing experience, increasing gold, mega crystals you get. But getting all 100? That's a no for me, dog.